if you've ever paid a tutor, either in person or online through italki or another website, to help you improve in your new language, it's likely that at one point you felt a little lost, almost like you weren't getting your money's worth from the lesson because you've advanced far enough that you can say hello, you can talk about your day, but you still had trouble getting further in the language, and the tutor just wasn't helping you as much as you thought. I've been there, I've done that, and over time I've adjusted and come up with a strategy to help you keep learning with a tutor even after you've passed your beginner stages. So this video is really meant for those more advanced speakers in another language. It's mostly relevant for you if you can talk about your day and if you can generally struggle and read through a text, even if there are many words you don't understand. It's not as relevant if you're just learning what the alphabet is in your new language, or if you don't know how to say I like pizza in your new language, although there might be some logic that is also pretty helpful to you. So the big issue for those intermediate and advanced learners is that the vocabulary that you read and listen to starts to become distinct from the vocabulary that you're using in your tutoring sessions. That's because every single time you log on to Skype or Zoom or whatever, and you meet up with your tutor, you say, hey, how are you? How is your day? How is the weather in your city and country? How is, what time is it all the way over there? My work is very tough. I'm very tired, and so on and so forth. And this is very, very important stuff to know how to do. But once you've done it 10 times, 100 times, you probably don't need to keep doing that. And although it's useful to be able to speak about your day, to be able to say, watch a YouTube video and just understand, or to be able to read a book or the news and just understand, you need to have a very broad vocabulary. Here's what I do. You can see here that I'm using a website called Link, although this does not actually matter that much. Link is fantastic. Full caveat, I actually work for Link, but in this case, I do use Link to find material to read and listen to in Bulgarian, although you can also substitute this for a physical book or any other website of your choice. Now, what I do is, I'm an intermediate learner in Bulgarian. I use Link. I find different things like, say, this particular news article. I read through the article. I find words that I don't know, and I save them. And over time, because I'm doing this every day, because, I'm an intermediate level learner, so it's very important to get at least a little bit of reading done every single day, I very quickly acquire a big group of words that I've marked as words that I want to learn. And here you can see in Link, it gives you a list of those words that you've saved. If you're using a physical book or some other resource, you may be writing these words down in a notebook, or you might have some other way of saving them. Maybe you're making flashcards. In this case, I have all of these words here displayed in alphabetical order. Each of these words are uncommon enough that they're not going to come up if I just talk about my day, usually. So these are really words that you do have to put a little bit of effort into actually learning. So what I do when I have my next tutor session coming up, which I have about 3 times a week, is I sit down with my tutor, I open up my list of words that I have saved, and I go through them one by one. And the tutor provides examples of how that word can be used. The tutor provides nuance into how it could be translated into, in my case, into English, or how, for example, the one-word translation that you get in your dictionary or whatever app or service you use may not be the perfect translation. And my tutor also tells me if, for example, there are any idioms or common expressions that use that word. We can do this in about a couple of minutes for a single word. And so in the course of a 1-hour lesson, we can actually go through about 25, 30 different words. And by the end of it, all of these words, like for example, this one, vnushtelen, impressive, by itself, I may see this 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times before I actually get it to stick in my head. But because I've gone through it with my tutor, it's going to be in there for much longer, and I'm going to even probably be able to use it myself spontaneously in the next conversation. And so my tutoring sessions have gone from half an hour, 45 minutes of talking about my day and my work, which is really very similar week after week, to focused sessions every single time, going through lists of vocabulary and not just running off a list of words, but actually talking about them and using. So when I get to learn this new word, I'd say something that is impressive, or I try to then turn it into a verb, and I see if I'm correct in how you can turn an adjective into a verb in the language, maybe easy or hard depending on the language. I try to adjust it for different genders or quantities if that's relevant to the language. I use it and I combine it with that intermediate level that I have to maintain a full conversation. With this method, with say 3 lessons of 1 hour a week, I can get through almost 100 new words in a week that tend to stick in my head. And if you do this month after month, you're going to find yourself very quickly with a much, much bigger, more impressive vocabulary than you started with. And every single time you go in to start your tutoring sessions, you're going to know this is what we're going to talk about. I'm not going to be wondering what I should be saying. And the time is going to go a lot faster. It's going to be a lot easier on you. And you're going to come out of it thinking to yourself that you really got a good return on your investment. So that's my tip. Again, this may not apply quite as much for the more beginner learners out there, but it's definitely very useful if you want to really go from having a beginner to an advanced vocabulary as quickly as you can with the help of a tutor. Let me know what you think.